Hello everybody. I just logged into chess.com and I found this greeting waiting for me that I thought was kind of hilarious. Um, because yeah, it's true that I delivered checkmate with the queen, but like I'm still kind of embarrassed. It does turn out, incidentally. Let's see. Two views, both me. That there was a time in the game that I played yesterday that I was actually suffering from an advantage. Game kind of opens up, you know. I remember just thinking I needed to get pieces out, not really worrying about this capture because I always had the recapture. Hello. I just tried to record a short video and then discovered that I couldn't draw arrows on this board, and the reason was that I wasn't using an analysis board, and so I stopped the video, and it's a whole bunch of crap. But this is a game from yesterday. I was kind of motivated to take a quick look at it, both because, you know, analysis is a real thing, and because when I logged into chess.com, I was greeted with this, oh, I can't find it, this award. Maybe it's on the awards page. Apparently it's not. Achievements. Ah, here we go. It's greeted with this award for the Killer Queen, because I managed to checkmate yesterday with a queen. And, you know, I'm still a little embarrassed about that game just because there was so much suckage from my end. But that's okay, you know, and I did win it through aiming for a draw and kind of stumbling into a checkmate. But kind of the killer bit here was that, let me see, where's the analysis board? Analysis, it is the thing that we do. I'm just going to pause the engine here. Yeah, so there was, you know, we'd started off with a Sicilian, and I was complaining that, like, I had no real idea what to do, which I always complain about. Here, I wasn't concerned about this capture because I figured I could repair my pawn structure. Wasn't too worried. Kind of jogged backwards, was perfectly satisfied with that. Yeah, just, you know, developed, brought things out, kicked around, and here I remember speculating that it seemed like I had made an awful lot of moves and he'd made an awful lot of pawn moves, and that maybe maybe that was kind of dodgy somehow. And sure enough, when I looked at this with the analysis board, you can see here that it's settled up at a 0.63, indicating that just through, you know, moving position, even though I'm the half tempo behind, half ply, tempo behind, that nonetheless, I'm actually, you know, indicates to my mind that I'm doing fairly well out of my opening. And it looks like after this move that my opponent had committed an actual blunder. And I really wasn't too sure what it was looking at it. I had to eventually just have the computer tell me. One of the things that I like to do is have chess.com generate, you know, it does the funny little visual graph thing that it does. I believe Lee Chess has the same thing. And then sometimes I'll just go to the move before there's a leap in the graph and see if I can figure out what the heck's going on. I couldn't figure this one out. But taking a look, it becomes kind of self-evident, right? So the first move in the sequence was queen to c7. And if you look, this is an undefended knight, right? Like, so we're just attacking an undefended piece. And it makes sense that it's undefended because there have been so many pawn moves, right? They're gone. So the recommendation was to defend. Unsurprising, really, from the computer. And then from here, to use this dark square bishop, that you'll note this pawn can no longer defend the b4 square. So it was to add pressure. And, you know, it's kind of neat, right? Like, what we're seeing here is an instance of Now we've immobilized the piece. You know, I realized that it's pinned, but I think it was a Jerry or a Chess Network talked about thinking of restricted pieces instead. So we've both restricted this piece, and we've also got kind of a nice pile up on it, right? Just out of nowhere. So the recommendation again is, you know, protect when in doubt. You know, like give some protection. But now that this bishop is protecting this knight, it's overloaded, and this pawn is available. And so the recommendation was to just go ahead and capture. I didn't really follow some of the logic here. It makes sense that the queen does need to move. It's in capture. I think d6. I don't really understand what's going on with that, but the computer, again, was claiming a reasonable advantage. b6, I really don't understand too much, save that it tries to win a tempo against the queen. And from here, we just capture the pawn. A couple pawns up. Again, this is a little puzzling to me. I guess if the queen captures, then we have a... and we're also attacking, this is just unprotected anyway. So, in any case, like, I can follow this computer line all day, right? Like, I'm not sure what I'm going to get out of it, but bishop b5, check. Never be too frightened to move the king if you have to, like, it just happens sometimes. This is a thing, it's life. Knight on d to e2, just trying to remove, and so on. Now I'm just, the computer's just playing the computer, you know, so I'm going to stop it there. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of neat that that my instinct was, you know, it wasn't entirely on, certainly, but I did think it was a little suspicious, and sure enough, it actually, like, the position actually kind of was a little bit suspicious. But in any case, new day, new opportunity to get my ass completely kicked. e4. Bold. It's worked out before. Maybe I'll get a cheap checkmate out of it this time too. So presumably, whenever I see this played before a knight coming out, I always assume that my opponent is actually going to go for what I believe is called the knight attack. And the knight attack, it still bothers me to play against. It's still kind of petrifying. There we go. I was totally wrong. That's a thing. Now, one thing that I did read after yesterday's game was a little bit of the mainline Sicilian. And it seems that d3 is actually a very common kind of propping up move. I'm wondering if I should just play that. It releases this bishop. Yeah. It doesn't get me into too many shenanigans on this incredibly well fortified d5 square either. So I'll just play it a little bit conservative from my perspective and see what the hell happens. Let me just wish my opponent good luck. Good luck. Got that knight out. Lovely. Pinning seems like a good idea. Develop a piece. When in doubt, get your pieces out. My opponent is Ham Andrew. I feel like this rating is a total fake, 1491. You've seen, like, I've just got unlucky on some people quitting their games on me and what have you, so kind of a fakey rating. So, opponent's kind of looking for this. What the hell? Restrict your opponent's ideas, right? Right? Heard that every now and again. This also gives this bishop a way to at least peek into the game, which is, not a bad thing. Oh, you're going to spoil all my pawns. So I had a queen right here. Then if I ever pushed this c5 pawn, then I would be focusing on f2. My opponent right now, incidentally, is playing fairly aggressively. Presumably what they want to do is actually open the e file. That seems like a reasonable course of action for my opponent. This is mostly a question of, am I more concerned with king safety, which I am, or am I more concerned with spoiling my pawn structure? The answer is no. Pawn structure. Pah! Pawn structure. I don't play strongly enough to need pawn structure. I'm gonna drop a piece way before I need pawn structure. So yeah. Oh, look at that! I'm starting to play like a coward. Just gonna castle, get that king out of there. So let me see. Oh right, that's my pawn influence in the center. My opponent's pawn influence is there. That makes sense. Although this is my king's most valuable defender, it's both blocking this bishop in, and this is now, my opponent's best piece. So, I'm not going to do it. Like, you're not going to hang out. It's as simple as that. And, I saw this, but I think it's fairly weak. So I'm not, super concerned about it. It does start this opening up again, but now that my king's no longer on e8, that seems a lot less utterly terrifying. Yeah. I mean, this knight is pinned, so that doesn't really matter. And now I've got an attack on this b5 bishop and this f3 knight. I'm thinking the f3 knight is going to drop soon, as in this move, just to expose the king a wee bit. Just doesn't seem like a bad idea. You'll note that this bishop now is also tremendously impacted. So yeah. You know what, I'm going to leave these two alone right now. They're doing fine work. I can do that, right? I don't have to move all the things all the time. Right? I can have a little patience. Who was it who made the claim that the threat is often more dangerous than the attack? In fact, could kind of harass my opponent's bishop a wee bit. It's got to move back. I move this guy. Oh, go on, arrow. Move this guy up, then that has to happen, right? And then after that, what I've done is gain a bunch of space. But that's all. Plus, if and my opponent pushes h3, what's my plan? I guess capture with check, take, withdraw, and then my opponent can just capture my pawn. Don't want my opponent to capture my pawn. I like my pawn. Let's just weaken things up a bit. Doesn't seem bad, right? Now it's kind of the eternal question, like this direction or this direction. Thinking the F file gets me a little bit more counterplay on the center, which is, pleasant. Prevents this rook from coming up. I don't know whether that'll be useful, but it's there as an idea. Yeah, my opponent's king is looking dangerously nude right now. Capture bishop. I guess I kind of like the idea of having this open. This bishop is blunted by its own pawn. There's not much that it can do, and if the F file were open, I'd have a heavy piece. I mean, it seems like an attractive idea, right? Oh, scheisse, I totally missed that I just destroyed and demolished my own dark square bishop. Way to be. Oh, thanks, opponent. That was nice of you. Whew. Okay, just bumped my microphone. I'm trying a different microphone this one. I kind of like the slightly less depth of field camera, and so does my very old laptop. But the microphone on it's not particularly good, and the microphone on the other camera that I have, whilst it's considerably better than the built-in one on this laptop, is also not particularly good. It seems to pick up an awful lot of right? Just a lot of like. So I'm trying out this instead. This is a microphone that I bought years back now for back when I thought that I might have a shot at playing guitar more effectively. Singing songs. So what I'm looking at over here is the fact that his king is so nude. It seems like there's got to be an attack here somewhere. I have so many pieces over here. But I'm just wondering how to orchestrate it. Bishop here leaves the bishop unprotected, but what would have to happen, right? Like queen there or something to attack it. I could defend. Do I have to defend that way? This looks crazy. So let's assume the capture. King would probably take and allow this queen to come in with check. So So there's a king here and a queen here, and a bishop that's under attack here. King has to move. Presumably it wants to run away. Moves there. It's not really a follow-up. It's queen overwork. It works just fine. Let's just take this square away from my opponent's queen. And also, if I then do the thingy, I'm threatening mate in 2. Seems reasonable, right? Like checkmate. Checkmate again with a queen. Don't want to get too ambitious or anything, but like, wouldn't that be cool, right? Like, you know, 2 games, 2 checkmates, rather than just like winning because my opponent's logged onto the game and then quit. Ooh, rook a duck. Ah, there is what he's anticipating. Doesn't that just mean that I can throw bishop right there? Kind of grump at him. Reckon it does. Now what if this bishop came here? Presumably goes backwards, right there. Rook's trapped. Lovely. Seems like reasonable compensation. Seems like a reasonable way to take advantage of the king's current embarrassment, say. Well done. Of all the moves in all the world, I should have seen that one coming. Still, got my checkmate threat on, right? So that's good. Keeping my checkmate on. My opponent can't really do much to enter with the queen, because I've got this square covered. H5. Yes, highlight, damn you. So that's good. Queen can't even come here, because they are F8 rook there. Like, this is kind of looking a little bit desperate. You can't even like just like shove this pawn forwards either. So that's good, isn't it? Like, it's kind of looking like I may have something on here. Ah, dropped your queen. Gotcha. Bingo. Yeah, there we go. This is not my rating. I just want to reassure anybody who's watching. This is going to collapse down into the 1300s. I'm just a very fortunate camper right now. That's really all that this is. Having said which, let's see how bad my analysis is. I have to think white's stronger here. This just wins an outright. Does it win a tempo just against this knight? Like, is that the recommended move from Mr. Engine? No, knight c3 is the recommended move. Getting a piece out. When in doubt, oh, that's not c3. When in doubt, get your piece out, right? Ah, no, that's not what I want. My opponent did play knight c3. I played d6, and I was not certain about that at all either. My other candidate moves, I'm just not, like, although the analysis there, I'm just not looking at it yet. My other candidate moves, I was thinking of e5. Fairly aggressive, just getting straight into the center, telling my opponent, here I am, deal with me. E6 was there's just so much that I don't understand about this game. Why? E6, knight f3. Settle down. d5. Or knight c6, it's really not sure. But, I mean, the nice thing about that is that if we look at what I actually did, like, I'm not convinced that's bad. Oh, it apparently dropped. No, the evaluation does not drop a pawn. E5? E5, monster, monster, D5, monster, monster, bishop to B3, recommend it to me. C4. So the computer definitely thinks that white is just better here. Like, oh, I guess it's diminishing now a little, so that's nice. This is the thing with the computers, right? Like, sometimes it's nice to follow the moves a little bit because you find out that what appears to be, like, egregious. If you just make your best moves, your opponent position will be becoming worse. It just doesn't really matter, you know? So anyway, in this position, my opponent played rook e1. I'm unconvinced. I think that my opponent has a real bishop issue that needs to be addressed. It's simple as that. Like, you have, you know, 4 of these minor pieces, right? And if you leave one behind, that just seems awful to me. I'm really not sure. Now, I don't know, maybe getting a heavier piece involved into the game is wise somehow, but I kind of think it's a little premature. It's a little premature. Having said which, if you read, I've read like the first 4 games in it, don't imagine that I've read the book at all, The Art of the Attack. The first thing is discussing attacking the opponent's uncastled king. And in that, they certainly recommend that at an appropriate time, when you believe that the e-file can be opened up, that shoving your rook on here is great. I just don't think that it can be opened up right now, and I also think that my opponent is a piece behind. I'm not sure there's any attack here at all. But we'll find that out in a second, right? After this, I didn't see that the pin bought anything. I think my opponent would have been far better playing d3, looking again just to liberate this dark square bishop. This whole classic rule of moving the same piece twice in the opening, well, it's pretty legit, right? Like, I mean, you don't have many pieces really to manage. You have your minor pieces. You only got 4 of them. You have your heavy pieces. You only got 3 of them, right? If you leave one of your minor pieces behind, you're at a significant disadvantage, unless you're ahead on time. And my opponent's just not ahead on time here, right? Like, let's take a quick look. You know, again, Jerry over at Chess Network has a wonderful video on timing in chess, and in that he describes this technique, right? How many moves am I away from getting my rooks connected? So I'd need to get this off the back rank 1. Need to be castled 2. I'd need to move my queen up somewhere off the back rank 3. So I'm 3 pieces away from having connected, 3 moves rather away from having connected rooks, right? How many moves away is my opponent? 1, 2, 3, same amount. after this move. So like there's not a huge time difference here. So I don't think that moving the same piece twice was actually warranted. I'm not threatening anything with this knight. It's just kind of hanging out there, you know, having a little bit of influence over the d4 square there in it. Yeah, so anyway, just following that theory of like improving by time is what led me to moving my bishop here. Now you're getting your dark square bishop out. That's good. And no, my opponent tried to take advantage of an apparent hole instead of getting the extra piece out. You know, like it's awesome that there's a potential hole there, but what was the plan here? You know, like coming in, right, and then capture, and then capture, and then because I mean I think I've equalized on time by now. Really, all this does is set up this, you know, which is what I played. Like there's no way I'm leaving that knight there, right? Like, it's too far forwards. It's just too far forwards. Now, as it happens, could I have played this right here? Yeah, I could have. If I played that, this comes with check, though. Capture, and then what? Just move back. And I guess we're in the same situation we were earlier, so this was... I can't believe this was correct. Surely that's a question mark of a move. What move is that? Move 9, knight d5. So if there's one thing that I'm looking for in the computer's quick analysis, move 9. Does it think it's all right? Am I missing something self-evident? Again, there was a small tactic here around just pushing this pawn rather than capturing, because leaving this restricted piece restricted seems fine, right? So let's assume push pawn, push pawn. What do I actually have? I'd have to capture though. Force that. And I'm a piece. Heck. Nice. Missed that one, didn't I? So let's just play this a different way, right? Now what? Same situation as before. You may recall my idea was then to just continue the attack against the bishop, but I don't see after this that I've actually gained much except space. And maybe space is good enough, but space comes with its own disadvantages, right? Like it's nice restricting your opponent back and telling him his light square bishop, which was already fairly useless because of the d5 pawn, is continuing to be useless. But it also, you know, it gives me things to worry about, right? I've got to worry about this and this. I've still got to worry about this with one fewer flight square if I decide against capturing here for some reason. None of that matters though, because we know what I did. So anyway, so that 9, knight d5, and it looks like in move 10 there may have been a tactic. I don't think there was though. I can see potential for it though, but yeah. So this, again, get your bishop out. Get your bishop out. No, not there, but like, at least just don't leave it, you know? Like, even if you only bring it forwards one square, look at how much more influence it has now. There's 3 more squares of influence, though. That's useful. And also, you now have potential to move this thing so that it can get into the game. You are restricting 1 square from my queen. It's not useless, you know? Like, it's something that, as a very amateur, very amateur chess player, like, that just seems to me like the way to go, right? Like, your pieces need to be brought into the game. So anyway, f4. I liked this idea right up until I realised that I'd actually kind of buggered myself up. And there's no easy way to recover, right? Like, if my opponent just leaves this pawn here for capturing and does something perfectly sensible like this, I mean, what am I going to do? Like that? My bishop's still trapped. I've actually hurt myself here. This was a bad move, I think. Maybe bishop up first, and just accept that if this happens, I don't know. These keys are over, but then that runs into this, doesn't it? What? Check, capture, check, run. Oh, that would have happened a long time ago, wouldn't it? Missed that, didn't I? Best chess player in the world over here. In any case, I'm kind of getting lost in analysis of a very short game, and I just kind of want to wrap this video up. I do appreciate that you've spent some time watching. I'm not very good at the game. There are much stronger chess players out there, but you know, I want to get good. Like, I want to get good. Like, I really think that's possible. You know. Now here we can see that knight d5 is listed as a mistake. That's okay. It was a mistake. Good. This bishop f5. Let's see. So knight d5 was a mistake. We identified that correctly. Go us. Capture. That's good. The simple analysis at least doesn't spot any huge issue with this next thing. It could be that the deeper analysis does, but I just like this account is for streaming with, right? Like I have a different account for you know, it's 6 a.m. when I woke up bleary-eyed and I just want to play a game of chess. And that one I have more options and what have you, but it's a diamond account, so I can do the analysis deeper. But this one, you know, what does it think here? Bishop f5 is what I played, and bishop h5 is the recommended move. I remember talking about this, like, which direction do you go in? What's my impression of me? Which direction do you go in? But it reckons bishop h5 was the better move here. I was thinking that might be the case just because it pinned the pawn to the queen, but I didn't vocalize that, certainly. And then, you know, these are effectively pretend moves now, right? It does want that bishop out. Good. Good. If there's an advance, capture, open the line. Show no fear, show no fear. Coming back, capture, capture. That's probably the end of the line, right? It is. Excellent. So this, I mean, from here, you know, we can just straight up win this pawn. This pawn on f3. Yeah. But, you know, like, so I gave away a bunch of advantage there, it looks like. f4, it looks like was a solid move. f6, the computer doesn't label it as anything, but it does drop like a couple of center pawns there, and I'll buy that. Like I restricted that bishop, and that's just not a good thing to have done. Capture is listed as an inaccuracy. I thought that this was because it gave me the chance to reopen this. Just all these moves seem fine to the computer. Rook g2, bishop h3. And here's the move that I did not see. And thank gosh that I didn't see it, because it was apparently the losing move. The strongest move in this position, according to the computer, was bishop e3. Which makes some sense, right? Like I've got a lot of pressure coming down, and this kind of stabilizes the file. This is, you know, these are all hanging out in grouchy ways. And this kind of is just a move that's like, no. I guess I should point out the king's defending too. So yes, that stabilizes. Was it? So with each move here, the analysis is kind of cool, right? It was, this mistake was the one that kind of started then just a sequence of my position getting a little better, and then show off, and that's just, you know, egregious, right? So yeah, thank you very much for your time. I will, be back.